Hey guys, sorry I haven't been around much this week. It's been a little hectic, summer jobs, summer workouts, all that kind of stuff. Just kind of nuts. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of stretching uh, before, after workouts, and just good flexibility in general. So, I've been working at a conditioning camp and I actually worked out at it too when I was a high school student. It's through my high school, and something that I noticed with a lot of athletes is not very good flexibility, especially in legs and shoulders, especially in areas like hips or hamstrings, and it's really important, especially for athletes or anyone who's really doing anything, even like recreational things like frisbee or just like playing a club sport. It's really important that you stretch several times a week because basically the importance of stretching is for an athlete is it's going to help you prevent injuries. But at the same time, if you're more of a lifter, or if you're trying to get more out of your lifts, flexibility is also extremely important because, like, let's say you're trying to improve your bench, okay? And a lot of people would just say, oh, just do a couple more reps, a couple more sets. But it's really important that you have a spotter, or at least you are aware of what your body's doing when you're benching. I know a problem I've had in the past is my rotator cuff on my left side here. It's going to be reflected on the camera, but this is my left arm here, and I've had a problem with it being too tight. So when I bench, sometimes this arm will be like compacted, and this one will be out pressing, and this one will be like, and that's a pretty common problem that with most athletes who've done a fair amount of weightlifting. And the way to fix that is through stretching and working that rotator cuff to get it more loose so it's used to sitting back in that position when I press. So doing active stretching like that, it's really important, especially on your really mobile joints like your shoulder, which has a lot of muscle groups around it, a lot of tendons, a lot of ligaments in there that have to be loose. If these are tight in here, you're going to probably increase your chance to get injured. And this is a pretty bad, luckily I've never had an injury there, or in my hips either. I had a really scary moment a couple years back in football. I was tackling a guy, and one of my teammates was behind him and tackled him forward, and I fell back like on my hips. And luckily, I was flexible enough in my hips that I was able to sustain it. I actually got an MCL sprain out of it. But apparently, an athlete from another school in my area had the same thing happen to him, and he popped both his femurs out of his hip joint, and that's looking at like a year recovery at least, because now you've messed up all those tendons, all those ligaments, because you haven't worked on that hip flexibility. So that just goes to show you that flexibility has big impact not only in sports but in your weightlifting as well. So it's really important that you're stretching 4 to 5 times a day. And we're talking, dynamic, static, really anything that's going to get your body warmed up. I would say it's more important to do dynamic when you're warming up. So if you're doing like deep squats or light shoulder press, like anything like that, that's dynamic. That's something you want to do before you get going with your movement. Anything with a large amount of movement, like if you take like a dowel. Let me scoot back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. If you have like there we go, a dowel, and you're moving it back and forth like that, that's dynamic. That's something that's good for before and after, but specifically after. Before, excuse me. Then now with static, that's something where you're holding it. You're holding like a stretch for a count. So like if I take a resistance band and I start pulling up on my leg, that's static. That's something that's good for recovery, keeping your muscles loose, especially after heavy weightlifting days where you've done a lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts, anything where you've done a lot of movement with a lot of weight. It's really important that you stretch after to keep those muscles loose. And like I said, keeping these loose are going to help you get more out of your lifts, get better depth on your squat if you have flexible hips, get better range of motion on your bench, and be able to push out more on your bench by working on the rotator cuffs. Okay, so that's pretty much all I really have for today. So stretching really has importance both in crosses over between athletics and your weightlifting. And if you work on your flexibility, you're going to see big improvement in both in injury prevention, but you're also going to be able just to be a better all-around athlete. You're going to be able to make more athletic movements, more movements that if you had a stiff hip or something, you wouldn't be able to move that way. The importance of stretching just can't be described in a short video like this. It's something that you just simply have to have part of your workout, and if you don't have it, you're missing out. That's all I really have for you guys today. I'm going to try and post some more videos on a more frequent basis, but that's all I have for today. Have a good day. Signing off.